It's time to switch to faster, more reliable air cargo service with SkyMax Cargo. Up to 3 flights weekly to and from the USA, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean islands, providing excellent import, export, and e-commerce solutions to put you ahead of the competition. For special low rates on small packages and air cargo, contact SkyMax today. 784-456-5400. Local agents SwiftPack Interprime Cargo. Call 784-456-5400 to book your shipments today.
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
So we are back with you for another commentary segment on today's Activated Mornings program. In studio, you have Dianna, Cain, and myself, Roleza Samuel, and we are your hosts every Monday to Friday between 6 and 10. Every Monday to Friday between 6 and 10. All right, so we are going to head on into another topic at this time. And remember, it is an interactive program. So the number to reach us on is 457-9997. You can do that by doing a direct call, or you can do a WhatsApp call. We are also live on Facebook and YouTube at this moment. All right, so we're just going to head on into a few stories that are in the news. And yeah, that's what we're going to do at this time. All right. You have them there, Dianna?
Yeah.
Right,
so one that was some mention was sort of made of it earlier. 23-year-old man is facing his second murder charge. According to the article, he is in prison, or he was slapped with the charge while he was in prison, awaiting in prison for another homicide charge. So Lima Isaacs was charged, and he's just 23-year-old. He was charged with the murder of Mark Williams in 2023, who was shot at New Montrose, Block 2000. Right? He is also awaiting the disposal of a murder charge against him in connection with a 2024 shooting of Zeno Lee, aka Sarge, who was a businessman from Murray's Village. Right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So additionally to that as well, too. So apart from having a new murder charge, he is also, he was also,
one of
accused of being in connection with the robbery or the alleged attempted robbery at Geku back in 2024. So it's interesting for a 23-year-old. He's busy, quite busy,
places.
And I'm not trying to. Okay, that's when I hesitate sometimes. I'm not trying to put anything on this young man, but the thing of it is that these are at least 3 things that he's alleged to have been involved with. And my curiosity wonders, are there others? Right? Because at 23, you do enough. This is enough at the age of 23. And, I recently saw another article of, persons will know that I make mention of the Liberty Lodge often, right? When I was in the Leo Club St. Vincent and a mentor with them. And interestingly, I noticed one of my former mentees also was slapped with a murder charge recently. I think it's actually 2 persons he's accused of killing as well. And, there are times when we come across these topics, and of course, we always want to go back to maybe what was their childhood like. Even with that particular student or former student of mine, there are times when I have to wonder, how much of their past is actually a reason for the way in which they've turned out. But I also do have to note that after you get to a certain age, you do know right from wrong.
Correct.
Right. And there are many times when I know that persons like to talk about primary socialization, the things that happened in your past. This word trauma is constantly being used. A lot of persons love to use the word trauma these days, but while I do know that it's not always that easy to shake the things of our past, at some point in time, we do know right from wrong. And of course, I'm not necessarily stating or saying that this person is guilty because he has to go through the full court process. But at 23, I think that is what is of concern to me, his age and being accused of 2 murders under his belt, or 2. Yeah, because murder at this point, yes, at this age. All right, so that's just one thing there to note. That's making the wrongs by way of news. All right. So another story.
Also, yesterday, the body of a Vincentian was found by the Grenadian. What are you telling me? The body of what is this?
Okay, yeah, it's not coming up on that. Luckily, it's on another page. Right. So the body of a Vincentian national was recovered at sea by Grenadian Coast Guard. This one I'm reading from St. Vincent Times. Or the previous story that I read with the 23-year-old, that was on Eyewitness News. If persons want to go and make reference or read for yourself. All right. So Everson King of Vincentian National was found dead at sea by the Grenada Coast Guard on Tuesday evening. King is from Redemption Shafts. The cause of death is unknown, but based on the recovered bodies. Okay, so I see something stated here, but the use of the word may means that it hasn't been confirmed, so I don't want to read it on here, right? So the cause of death is still unknown. King on Monday was seen going barefoot and covering himself with a blue towel around his waist in Petit Martinique after he went swimming in the early morning hours. King was 51 years old and goes by the moniker Doctor. All right, so there we have Mr. Everson King, also known as Doctor, who is from Redemption Shafts. His body was retrieved by the Grenada Coast Guard yesterday. All right. All right. And another story at this time.
Oh, the WhatsApp group?
The WhatsApp group. Yeah. You want to go? Or you want me to go?
You could go ahead with that. Yeah.
All right. So according to the Searchlight newspaper, an article that appeared yesterday, so a mother who found an unsavory WhatsApp group on her 6th grade daughters. Let me turn this down a bit. All right, let me put this back up and close this. All right, there we go. All right, so a mother who found an unsavory WhatsApp group on her grade 6 daughter's cell phone is calling on parents to check their children's digital devices and monitor their online communications. The WhatsApp group, called the link.vvc, is said to have over 300 persons and has explicit sexual content and conversations with van conductors, van drivers, older men, and underage boys and girls from at least one of the nation's private primary schools. The parent who discovered the group on her daughter's phone informed the several other parents through a WhatsApp broadcast. She says, the content is nothing I want any 6th grade student to be involved in, that is adult conversations. The mother commented in a message she sent out. She said she was also very concerned that many parents, when she informed them, were unaware that their 9, 10, and 11-year-olds were in a chat group, and some were actually taking part in sexual conversations with men 2 and 3 times their age, while others were just reading and not responding. All right. So the full article isn't here on social media. You have to subscribe to read the full thing, but that's just the gist of what that is. I do know that when I went to this, so in reading this, it said that the conversation or the group contains a lot of van conductors, van drivers, and older men and underage boys and girls, right? But when I did click on it, I noticed that it seems to be a group of there's actually an Instagram page, and I think it's about Vincy van culture. I think that's what the VVC stands for, Vincy van culture. So that might explain why it is that you have so many persons who are driving vans, are involved in the van industry or sector. I need to still go and look up the difference between those both two, but who are involved in driving vans or working on vans. Why it is that the group has so many of them. I noticed there is a little bit of a back and forth on, well, not so much back and forth, but different persons explaining what the group is about under the link for this particular post, right? But I don't want to go too much into it because I'm not in the WhatsApp group, so I can't comment on whether or not, let's say, explicit information is shared or if it should be only adult content. Maybe if it's a case where it really and truly should only be for adults. I noticed on the Instagram link, you can actually click to be added to the WhatsApp group. So it's quite easy for, let's say, children to be added to it because of the fact that it's just a link that you are hitting, right? But I think if all we have to do, a takeaway message from this is that parents need to be a lot more involved with the monitoring of their children's devices, right? Not just necessarily in relation to this particular group, but generally in terms of who it is that they interact with.
This is something that has been that is constantly being said. When it comes to children and their devices and things like these, I just leave it up to the parents. I really don't, it's up to you to sort it out because there are warnings. When I was growing up, I had such an issue with the way my mother raised me. Boy, I was so upset with this woman because first of all, I used to get
Your
licks.
mother
Not
not
that
true?
she don't ever listen. Not that I was a bad child, and even if she been listening, I didn't mind either.
Because you don't move out and everything.
Yeah,
big woman.
come on, man.
Big woman.
But I used to be so upset, with the licks, listen to me, my mother knew everything we had, Roleza. If I bring home a dot and my mother said that, she want where you get a dot from. She know every single piece of clothes. I grew up with friends who I would see them having, bring home a little boxer from their boyfriend or a little vest in secondary school. And they would wear them in front of their parents. And I could have never put that strange thing. My mother would be, where you get that from? Where you get that from? Even if it's a pencil, carry it back. Things like that. And I am now that I've become an adult and I observe certain other people and the way that they were raised, I am really grateful for how she raised me. I thank God for every lash. I thank God for every inquisitive thing.
Do you really thank her for every lash?
No, not every lash. Some of it was definitely
unnecessary.
You understand me? But I thank God for the licks and I thank God for the strictness because I probably would have been way worse. Me and my son had this issue with the device thing out all the time because I tell him he's not allowed to do it. But first of all, he don't have a device. If I give him my phone, then he will go with the phone and he's always upset because he can't get a TV to watch or he can't get a phone to go on. And I make him to know I didn't grow up with these things. And one of the things with these devices, when you try and talk to parents about their children with devices, they get very defensive. Some would even say, how am I going to get onto my child? I want to know how parents used to get onto the children back in the day. I want to know if the school don't have a phone and if the teachers don't have a phone. But when it comes to children and parents and their devices, you fight that battle by yourself. I'm not helping you.
All right. Go ahead. All right. Good morning, Dave.
Teachers don't have a phone.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, man. Dianna just activate me there, boy. She just activate me there. And it's so good to hear. I love to hear when people, like how Dianna expressed herself growing up with a mother. I love to hear when people are so honest. Not everybody would have the belly, the guts, or whatever it takes to come on radio and speak about those things. And for the morning, I've been listening to you. I listened to you two guys, if I should say that. Listen to two partners in crime, so to speak, talking about all issues and so on. And I asked myself, in the year 2025, I have, isn't this the same thing I've been hearing for a long, long time before? But the big difference is some of the stuff you're talking about has to, as Dianna was saying, that she didn't grow up with these things and so on. It's not so long ago since we got into this technology in terms of having these devices, and so we are now catching up. Are you there?
Hello? Yes, we listen.
Oh, I thought that silence was so definitely I have to ask the question. Yes, so we still have a lot of catching up to do. But you know what? Thank God, I created the worst long time ago. I created the worst, but when you think about the worst now, in my time was joke. If you understand what I'm saying, this time I mean, when I hear a man, a youngster 23 years old, don't have murder against his name. How much? Two murders, so to speak?
Accused of two. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I know you have to be careful with the language, but come on. I ain't going to make things too sophisticated for some of us. Some of us ain't bright enough right now to deal with the situation that we are faced with. If you understand what I'm saying, some of us are not bright enough where the technology is concerned. I myself included, because some of it is just mind-boggling as far as I'm concerned. So where are we going? In spite of, there will always be people like me. And I was trying to remember an old saying. Once certain values are instilled in you from a young person, bringing you up in the world, I mean, you will still hold on to those values. Where are the values coming from now with all these people, all these young people now who are involved in all these things, all the happenings, all the goings on and so on? Where are their values coming from? Can somebody tell me? I mean, it's just a reflection of the world that we are living in today. And then when you have leaders or people in administration at that level who are not making any dent, are not making things better, I am not putting the blame on them, yes, but you're growing up in an environment. Here is some talk about enabling environment. Well, this is the enabling environment to get those of us to do what we are doing. Because you're coming up with, you're trying to come up with answers and you can't find no answer. So it's a repetition. I will die, leave this world, and I can't see no immediate solution for the future, especially when you have us right now fighting on one another. We can't see eye to eye and so on. So all these things will continue for how long, God knows. But I will believe in you all in the world to face up to all these things. That's one good thing I am happy about where I am right now.
Oh, Lord.
So you all have a big thing to fight up with here. Dave Roberts never raped. Nobody can accuse me about rape or accuse me about anything.
We were talking about being accused of murder, right? And right. So you've never been accused of murder, right? Let's just have that on record.
Well, and you're the right person to deal with that too. For what although we have known each other for that long, but you see, and the other thing is, some people are afraid to speak. I hear you all talking about fear just now. Fear for what?
All right. Okay. Dave. All right.
I said I'm out for that. I go on.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
All right.
All right. All right. So just to wrap up this segment, Dave did raise an important point, and it's a good thing that he said it because I forgot to write it down. One of the things, so yes, so Dianna is saying that she's leaving it up to parents to fight that battle in terms of
the device
with the devices, right? But
them giving them.
Yeah, but I do think that so I am actually in agreement that parents should monitor the devices, right? What it is I used to do with my niece, and I had to bring my mother into this too. Is that I would do like spot checks, right? I would say, bring your device for me, bring your phone, bring your tablet, and I would go through, right? And if I see something, of course, right? But I noticed that what my mother used to do is mommy would tell me sometimes to go and check the devices, even though, so my niece used to live between my mother and I, right? Mostly with my mother at one point. But anyways, but this is the point that I want to make to parents and grandparents. You cannot be afraid of technology. I don't know what it was with my mother, but mommy would say, hand this, almost as if she's afraid to fiddle with anything, Parents and grandparents, you cannot be afraid to use technology. If you see anything that comes up and say delete, just don't hit delete, right? That is my only thing that I would tell you, do not hit delete. But many parents and grandparents, they leave it up to their children to teach them how to do things. When many of you retired, grandparents, many of you are retired by now. You're just sitting down there. Many of you know how to search the internet and know how to go on YouTube, how to go on Facebook, but to maybe open a WhatsApp chat to have a conversation, or maybe to do this or that. You open an application. You're afraid to do that. So you leave children up to themselves with their devices because you somehow think that you are going to do something wrong. Many times it's just for you to ask the child in your care to show you what to do and actually listen with an open mind. All right. Pay attention with an open mind. Don't be too closed off to technology, because in this way, you're also helping your children, right? Because if you are able to, let's say, know how to go into WhatsApp, how to open a message, open the gallery in their phones, that sort of thing, the gallery as in the photo album in their phones, you would see certain things that should not be there. And then you can have this conversation I first would approach it from having a conversation with them about doing right, knowing right from wrong, why it is that this is not appropriate for them. Have the conversation instead of, as somebody said earlier, talking at them and not talking to them. All right. So you have that conversation with them. If you find it overbearing, I could understand you're talking at them, because by that point in time, you're probably just tired of it as well. But it should be a conversation in the first instance. And again, if you come across things that that is not for them at their particular age, although really and truly, they are exposed to so many things at a very early age, because everything is on the internet.
That's about to say.
Everything is on the internet, right? But to have that conversation with them, and but you have to be integral in all of it, because children could run circles around you. And you know that they know how to do that very well.
And don't ever assume, I teach my child the right thing. So I expect, listen, when children go to school and they interact with other children, they pass on information. So if your child never nothing about a porn site, let's say, believe that there is somebody's child in school who knows about porn site and will tell your child how to find a porn site. And if they have a device, they will show them how to find the porn site. Or everything, I go on I don't have TikTok. I go on Instagram, I go on Facebook, and I see some things. Like you can find naked things, you can find sexual content right there. And I keep thinking, boy, children had these devices and they could, but if you give them the device, it's up to you how you do after that. That's out of my hands.
Even with that as well too. So let's say you don't know how to block sites, or you don't know how to block certain things. Ask somebody, right? Before even giving the child the device, let somebody go through it and maybe block this or block that, and even set a timer, because the devices also come with, some of the tablets come with timers where, let's say by 8:30, it completely shuts down for the day. So their screen time has ended for that particular day. You have to find ways, all right? You have to find ways. I'm not necessarily in agreement with not giving them devices, because I do know that you can also, it's also teaching aid, right? You can learn many things from off of the internet, vocabulary can be improved, your reading can be improved, just a knowledge about randomness. Children do just keep randomness inside their head, right? Positive randomness, that is. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for them to have, but it's just that there needs to be proper control. So parents, over to you guys again for this morning. All right, and we are going to head on out of this segment at this time and be back